Hey guys, Joe Leibner here. Joe Leibner here. Today we're going to be going through making a Nearpod presentation. But to do that today, we're going to use Google Slides. Now, you've always been able to import a Google Slides presentation into Nearpod, but this is a little bit different. There's now an add-on for Google Slides where you can generate a Nearpod presentation directly in Google Slides, and that has several advantages over just importing your slides into Nearpod. When you import slides into Nearpod, it essentially just makes a screenshot of each slide in the Nearpod app, and then you lose all interactive ability and things like that with it. And then if you want to go on and add polls or videos or things like that, you still have to do that within the Nearpod app separately. Now, if you make a Google Slides presentation with the add-on of Nearpod available, you can use all of Nearpod's interactive tools while you're building your presentation in Slides, which most people are a little bit more familiar with, and certainly has the ability to be advantageous for certain things like copying and pasting, etc., etc. Now, you'll see on my screen here, I've got this open twice. The first thing that I have open is the presentation that we're going to go through today that actually demonstrates this and shows a couple of the things that Nearpod has to offer, okay? And so we're going to start that by putting up the first slide that I would show as people are walking into the room and preparing for the presentation. Rather than a title slide, I like to do this, and we'll talk about that in just a second. The second tab that you'll notice is the Nearpod Home presentation, and the reason for that is I want to show what it looks like in Google Slides and perhaps even scroll around a little bit, maybe do a little snooping about as we're going through the presentation rather than just look at the still images or the screen captures from before when I was making the presentation. Okay, so if we want to open that this way, that's just fine. That is just fine. This will give us the Nearpod presentation as it was being generated. Now, anybody that's not familiar with Nearpod, Nearpod is a presentation tool. The nice thing about it is it gives you the opportunity to control what the viewers are seeing on their device. Okay, so you can present something to a classroom and you can actually control what slide they're on and what things are popping up on their screen as you're going through it. It kind of helps with engagement a little bit. It also has a lot of interactive tools, and so there's good collaboration opportunities with that. So we're going to start here again. Now, I like to start with a game or a little bit of trivia, one of the climbing the mountain opportunities or something like that, as people are coming in and as they're starting to log into the presentation, because it always seems like that's a bit of a transition. So just a little preference of mine, I like to start with a game. So this one is just the old memory game, like the card game. We're just looking for like faces underneath this as people are logging in and getting ready. And so we are going through this looking for the excitable kids and trying to match them up. They're pumped that we're doing a Nearpod presentation and they absolutely cannot wait. So once that's done, you can hang out, you can do it again, what have you, as you're waiting for other people to join. So then we'll go on to our title slide. Now, I left this one like this on purpose to demonstrate a point. There's a couple of these in here. This was generated as a GIF in Google Slides, and when you import a GIF into Google Slides or from Google Slides into this, even if it's working just fine over here, as you'll notice here, it does not maintain its animation when you bring it in. So just something to consider as we're going through. Okay, so again, this presentation is about making a Nearpod with Google Slides. So we're going to start off just like you would. So when you go to nearpod.com and you log in, okay, you're ready to generate some new content. You hit this little plus icon right here, and then you've got a couple of options. Lesson in Nearpod, it's the traditional way that you could do it, or lesson in Google Slides, and those are primarily what we're focused on today. We're not looking at these other two opportunities. Okay, so you click on lesson in Google Slide, all right, and this is what pops up. And then that takes you over to the presentation that you will start to build. So mine's already been built, so you can see all the slides that I've made over here that we're going to go through. Okay, this is initially how it looks, and it gives you a nice little 1, 2, 3. You can delete this first slide. There's no reason to keep it on there, and it does remind you that copying and pasting doesn't work, and that's down here. I've cropped that out. So if I want to copy and paste a slide, I have to generate a new slide. I can't just copy paste because that doesn't maintain the activity once it imports. So the way that you're going to start off doing this is you're going to go up here to this add-ons tab within Google Slides, and you're going to go down to Nearpod, and then you're going to click Open Nearpod. Now it's got all of its full features, okay? And when you're finished, you just click on Save and Go. So we'll do this again here. So I click on Add-ons, and then I'll go to Nearpod and Open Nearpod. And you'll see that sidebar pop open. And now this is how I access all of Nearpod's features while I'm building my content here. Okay? And so this is the selection area where I can go through and pick what I want for each individual slide. Now I don't need to add a new slide and then do this. Each time I select one of these things, it will open up a new slide for me. Okay, so if I want to do a BBC video, for example, and it pops up, and we'll just select the first one, that's fine. You'll notice as it's generating the slide with that content embedded, it made the new slide for me. So that's not something that I have to do every time. I don't need to select a new slide and then add the content. The only time I would add new slides is if I'm adding a static image or some text or title, etc., etc. And we've got several of those in here that you can look at as we go through it, okay? So we're going to delete that one. We don't need that, just for the example. All right, so let's go back to our presentation. So once Nearpod is enabled, the add-on is selected and it pops up over here on the side, right? This is where the fun begins, as some say. So we've got all of our selections over here, things that we can do, the different tools that we can use. So here's an example of one of the tools. When you click on fill in the blank, this is what will pop up. Again, it's generating the content for you. So you'll type your stuff over here, and then it will give you the option. It will give you the option. It will add in. So I did a screen capture. That's why mine looks this way. For the point of the presentation, and then it will just show you this is where your fill in the blank slide will be. Now you can reorganize these slides, click and drag, and move them around, and that will change their location in the Nearpod presentation once you finally save and export it. But like I said, it generates its own. So we'll go through and we'll see. So this is just a screen capture of what it would look like to you as you're building the material. And then this is what it actually looks like as you're going through it if you haven't had an opportunity to see it. Okay, so fill in the blanks, and it will give you, I've got the teacher view, but it will show you kind of the way that that works. And they'll have a word bank, and then they'll select where the words go, and it fills it in for you. So it's a good tool as you're trying to do vocabulary, if you're trying to get them to think how to apply a certain word into a certain setting or context. All right. One of the other things that you can add is a PhET simulation. So this is a great tool that I use all the time, particularly with science classes, where you can embed this directly into it. And so I'll go on to the slide that's got the PhET simulation built into it. So for example, if we're working on what an atom looks like, or components of an atom, and I want them to see those things, then I'll select that simulation as I did in this case. And then the students will have this on their own individual thing. And again, do that straight from Google Slides. So I just come over here and I just click on PhET simulation, and then it will pop up like this. I select the simulation that I want, and then it will build this slide for me. So that's what my slide looks like within Google Slides. And then I'm done. I don't have to do anything else to it. All right. And then the presentation for the Nearpod is that simulation right there. Another one of the things that you can add in is you can add in a poll. So I go over here, and it's a screenshot of what we see there again. And then this is the slide that it will generate. So it'll ask you a question, and it'll say this one or this other one, and then you'll get all of the information as you go through it. So here's our poll. We don't have any students in this class because it is a recorded presentation, but you can see as the poll is going, I set a 15-second timer. Whoever is viewing this presentation would have that opportunity to fill it out, and then we would see the answers tabulate live as we're going through it. And then time is over, and we see the results, and we move on with our life. This one's really a neat neat thing that you can add in, you can do a virtual field trip. So in my astronomy class, for example, this is something that we utilize. So you can see these are some of the preset ones, then you can go through and select a different one that's more appropriate for you. This one is from the Mars rover. This is a ultra high definition or beyond multi-billion pixel photo panorama from the rover. And so you can embed that directly into your presentation so that people can click on it and drag. And there's a virtual reality, you'll see this up here as well, Enter VR. If you want to, or if you're viewing this on a phone or with a VR headset or something like that, then you can do that as well and enjoy the setting that way. Now you can go further than this and you can do multiple things, or you can have things labeled, etc., but for our purposes, just demonstrating some of the tools that we have available to us. Okay, so that's the virtual field trip. On this one, we're searching for a YouTube video. So we want to put a video in. You can upload a video from your device. You can grab one from YouTube. And this is one of the great things about the integration of Google and Nearpod together, is that it works really well with the Google Suite apps, YouTube being one of those. So you can search directly for a video here. Copy and paste works a whole lot better in this. In Nearpod, you can't paste things directly onto a slide from like a screenshot or from the general clipboard on your computer, whereas within Google Slides you can do that. It's a lot easier to work with, and this is another example of why that's the case. So here's the video that we added in. So this is Mark Rober's video where he had some squirrels getting into his bird feeder and he put them through some tests. So another little bit of science application for us. Pretty fun. If you haven't had an opportunity to see that yet, make sure you go and watch that. Pretty good time. So it'll embed videos, and then you can select, do you want to watch it on just this device, or do you want to watch it on all devices? And so you select that, and you can pay attention here for that check mark, and you can see it on all of the videos as you go through. All right, so there's the video. We don't need to play it here at this time, but usually I'm doing this from the front of a room, from a projector, but doing this from home through a distance learning scenario, certainly play on each device would be appropriate. Here is Nearpod 3D. Here's another one of the options as you're going through here and you want to see something that you can kind of manipulate, a 3D model of something, then you would go down here to 3D. All right, and then that's the slide that it builds for us. We'll see that one right here as we're going through the presentation ourselves. And so here is the ISS, the International Space Station. Again, something we get an opportunity to talk about in our astronomy class. Look at all the research that's going on there. And you get to let the students manipulate it and see it so that they can get a little bit of an idea. There's a lot of biology stuff on this too. There's other things as well, but this would be one that would be relevant for me. So kind of a neat opportunity for people to get a sense of scale if they're trying to figure out, within itself, within the immediate context, what this looks like with regard to the solar panels and the capsules and the individual areas, things like that. Okay, here we have a quiz. So you can actually quiz them, and you can show the answers without the student's name available so that you can just see how the class is doing as you work through it, or you can leave up the student names as it's an informal thing, or if it's something more for fun, you don't mind their names being set next to their answers, or if you did it in groups or something like that, that would certainly be appropriate. And so here's where that would tabulate. You've got the student and the student name, and then here's the hide student names button. So if you don't want to see them, you just click on that, and then that gives you the answer that they give, whether right or wrong. And it's nice as you're going through that to see that so that you'll know whether you need to go over something again. And then what do you do when you're finished? Okay, so when you're finally finished with this thing, you want to go down here to the bottom right of your screen within the presentation, and you want to click on Save and Go to Nearpod. Okay, so when you click Save and Go to Nearpod, it will take you back to your library head. So these are all the video or the presentations that you have. A little permissions issue there. All right, it will go through, and you can see this one right here is updating. So even the changes that we made while we were going through this, they're updating right now. But any of the ones that you have modified or that you have taken on for yourself or generated will show up here in your lessons. and that's where this one will show up. So if I've gone in and I've presented this and then I see, you know what, maybe there's something that I need to do differently, I go back over here within the Nearpod library and I click on Edit, and that will now take me back once again to Google Slides. All right, and then I can edit again, and then anything I edit within this one, I just click on that save and go to Nearpod at the bottom. You do need to make sure when you go to edit that you open up the Nearpod task pane or sidebar, whatever we want to call that, so that you do have the opportunity to save it and go to Nearpod. Okay, so if you don't do that, then you will lose that opportunity. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, Nearpod is a great presentation tool. It has limitations within its own slide generation. In my opinion, it's not very easy to use. It's a little bit cumbersome, but they've integrated it now through an add-on to Google Slides. And if you're wanting to spice up your Google slide or to make something interactive or something that might be a little bit more generated for distance learning, video watching a video from a video presentation wouldn't be necessarily as conducive for the students as them watching it on their own individual device, even while you're going through a live presentation. So a lot of opportunities for teaching probably this fall this way. So hopefully this has been somewhat beneficial for you, and best of luck.